virtual feeling. So
Okay.
service has to do with quality. I think quality goes more and value goes with service product as compared to, I mean, physical product. For example, if I'm selling banana, it's banana. But if I tell you I'm going to give you a training, you are looking for what's the quality of the training and what was the value you are willing to exchange for that.
Okay, so there could also be differences based on quality now, all right? Okay, thank you so much. Please, could there be any other uh, contribution to this? Could there be differences between service market and product market, customers in the two categories? Just one more contribution, and then we move on. But the two observations that have been presented are wonderful. Specification is easier to have specification in product market than service market. Then quality as well is easier to have quality well defined in product market than in service market. Okay, so if no other hand is coming up, then let's proceed. Okay, now I want to ask another question. Remember, please, that this class is not for us to go through all the slides. This particular course now is about 191 slides, and we're not going to go through the 191 slides. Our own is to facilitate the slide, not to go through the slides. So not that I will be skipping through slides so that we can get to ones that I really want to do. All right, so my next question is, what had been or could there have been any difference in behavior of customers over the years? Could there have been any difference in consumer behaviors? Say behavior 2019 versus behavior in 2020. Could there have been any difference? Okay, so let's know what is happening. All right, Mr. Eric, please go ahead.
Well, I love to participate in my class for class one. So sorry. Yes. So humans keep on evolving, and if you look at the last 5 years, things keep on evolving, and we didn't even anticipate that we're going to even get to more and gross with digitization in 2019 as we found in 2020. So yes, behavior have changed. Perspective in terms of how we work has changed and how we want to relate with businesses in terms even physical product have drastically changed. So yes, behavior wise have drastically changed and we have evolved to a more connected global economy.
Okay, so there had been a transition of behavior from non-digital to a digital behavior. So that's one. Okay, Mr. Jason, please feel free, unmute and let's hear from you, sir.
There's also the changing demography of
Okay.
business leaders and managers
Okay.
across organizations. Millennials now are beginning to take leadership positions, and millennials, they tend to ask for more. So I believe there is an increasing change in consumer behavior over the years.
Okay, so there had been much more adoption of millennials in the marketplace today, and one of their characteristics is to ask for more and get a whole lot impatient. Okay, so does these things in any way have a way of affecting our work as consultants? Does it in any way affect these changing consumer behaviors? Does it affect our work as consultants? Does it affect what we call service? Does it affect what we call consulting? Okay.
Yeah, I think okay.
Yes, go ahead,
Go,
please.
Mr. Eric, go ahead. Okay, let me. I think it does because our KPIs are increasing. They are getting more stringent. They are getting more stricter. I mean, the deliverables are increasing every day. So we need to work harder. We need to give more. So I think the changing consumer behavior is affecting performance as consultants.
Okay. Thank you so much. Please, Mr. Richard, kindly go ahead.
Okay, morning. Let me just add my voice to this. I think that there's this adage where I come from that says that when the taste of palm wine changes, then the drinking pattern would have to change too. So as a result of the changing pattern as a result of the change in consumer behavior due to a whole lot of reasons, we are beginning to see drastic change. So if 2 years ago, Hangouts on some of these platforms, Zoom we use now, we're not as big as they were just a couple of months ago. So again, all of this is beginning to bring new innovation. We are beginning to think new, and then we are beginning to move to the digital space rather than the physical space we used to. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So obviously, there had been a change in consumer behavior. There has been a change in service industry. And all of these things will now affect the way we think as consultants. Whether we believe it or yes, we are going to go back and now think more strategically as consultants rather than thinking tactically. All right. So that has created a whole lot of opportunities. This change has created a whole lot of opportunities. Now, I always like citing this experience. During the COVID, at the peak of COVID-19, most companies shut down. In fact, CNBC recorded that over 60% of companies globally shut down. And about 40% of those businesses never get to reopen to date. All right. So that means maybe 20% are back to their feet and 40% are still dragging to know whether they will continue or not. But why some of these businesses were shutting down, some were making massive gains. If you check those that were making massive gains, they were those who have actually in a long term invested in understanding the consumer behavior, understanding how to manage crisis, understanding how to handle events like pandemic. All right, so the pandemic only gave them opportunity to exercise what they have been trained and they've been waiting to do. All right, so in the same way, the consultant is serving like an ego to businesses. The consultant is serving like an ego to businesses. So what does that mean? A consultant, number one, needs to be strategic. A consultant needs to see far ahead than the business owners, all right, or the company or client he or she is consulting for. Another important thing is that the innovative and creative aspect of consulting makes it very important for us to research and be able to build up services or encourage companies to build products that will meet up with the changing consumer behavior. Okay, so these are some of the things that need to be practically put into consideration by us as consultants. So our work is not really to come and advise, as it were. Our advice must be on founded strategic resources. Okay, founded strategic resources. And let me be very frank with you. Some of the strategic moves that will be ensued, some of them will be resisted. But no matter the resistance, we as consultants need to understand the dimension of the change that is coming compared to the resistance that is coming. That will determine what the service market will look like, what the consumers will look like, and what the product will look like. And now, I want you to listen to this. No matter how the government or any regulatory agency will try to regulate change or resist change, there's something they cannot regulate. They cannot regulate human behavior. They cannot regulate man's passion for new things, man's inept abilities or inept desire for curiosity. They cannot regulate that. So what really drives all these changing consumer behavior, service market perceptions, and products is just that in-depth curiosity, man. Okay, so some time ago, we heard of 5G, right? And most governments of the world opposed 5G. But at the same time, whether we believe it or yes, 5G is already operating. If you go to Dubai, 5G is operating. And if you go to most of those Arab nations, 5G is operating. You go to China, 5G is operating. So who is actually opposing who? Because a time will come, relationships will now have to be established on the modern day reality, no longer on past perspectives. I hope we are getting something very clearly. So we as consultants may looking at our industry, may looking at our careers, may looking at businesses, and that's why one of the basic things to expect in consulting is that aspect of understanding the trends in business environment, understanding the trends in business environment. All right, those kind of information need to be strategically carved out by occurrences or presumptions or assumptions, which we call hypotheses. So if we must remain as brands, lucrative brands and competitive brands in the market, then we must be ready to stay as eagles for companies. I trust somebody is getting what I'm trying to say. Now that we have agreed that there had been a shift in consumer behavior, and we've also accepted that the basic drive for this is just man's innate ability for change, man's innate ability, curiosity, desire of new things. So what is technology feeding on? Technology is actually feeding on man's curiosity to experience new things. That's what technology is feeding on. What is consulting feeding on? Consulting is feeding on man's curiosity to experience new things. So what are we really doing? We are trying to find out the possible trends of behavior and then begin to advise our companies in such light. I trust we're in the same, we can understand ourselves. We now begin to see trends as somebody's behavior changing because there is now an e-commerce. Do you get that? E-commerce came not necessarily to influence behavior, but because it came, that desire in man to experience new things began to exploit the opportunities of e-commerce. And one of the things that have really changed behavior today, as far as service market and product market is concerned, is this thing called technology, of which e-commerce is part of it. Social media came up with just to people sharing information among themselves. But you see the evolution that it has brought into human behavior. I doubt if there is anybody here today that before the day goes down, you will not check your phone maybe 3 to 4 times in a day to check who has sent you a message on WhatsApp, who has sent you a request on Facebook, what trend is moving on LinkedIn, who is live on Instagram, what is the most trending post on Twitter, and all of that. Now, what has businesses got to do with those things? Consultants now have to find a way to advise businesses. Instead of advertising on newspapers that people are no longer buying as much as that, why not advertise in this area? At least, even if they buy magazine, they get to open it possibly once, okay? But when they have their phones, they open it every day. They open their computers. For those of us that have computers, probably will open it at least out of 7 days in a week, we must open it at least 3 times. And for any time you open, you get to see advert. Now, those information, or perhaps these changes have created a whole lot in the service industry. If I may add, one of the things that have reshaped service markets today is what we call social media. Social media. Another thing, just like the last speaker spoke, another thing that have reshaped service market is this digitalization of services. So I could stay in the comfort of my home or office or my car or whatever location I find myself and deliver the same service I would have delivered by traveling on air or traveling by road, doing the same thing. Yesterday, not this week, we had some companies calling and say, okay, we need you to visit our office. We need to discuss trainings and all of that. And this week was actually a whole lot of activities. So one of the best ways we said, okay, why not send us an email? Tell us exactly what you want. Then we can build some curriculum around what you need and send to you. Then after you might have looked at the curriculum, then we can have a Zoom meeting to discuss it more. If it is comfortable for you, then we can initiate the whole process. What has that done? That has reduced costs, that has reduced risks of accident or risk of heart attack by going there. It feels like, oh, you didn't really go. You have reduced several risks by adopting digitalization. So service market has changed. And that's why in my earlier introduction, I said, if you want to start consulting, please don't go about thinking of how many, if you want to rent a good office in Abuja now, you can't rent any good office below 4.2, 4.5 million. Or let's say worst case scenario, you get somebody to rent with, or maybe four or five people to rent with. So each person gets to bring about 1 million to 1.5 million. All right, and that is exclusive of furniture, and that is exclusive of secretary that you pay. Is it not? Okay. If you want to go and rent a shared office, if you want a separate shared office to yourself, a shared office of one person will give you about 250,000 per month. If you do that for 10 months, that's 2.5 million. That's shared office, right? So why will I want to spend 2.5 million when I can actually digitize the service? We are in a very dynamic environment now that what we used to call norms are no longer norms. Okay. Some weeks ago, I think about 2 weeks ago, we had a workshop on strategic planning for business executives. And Dr. Larry said something. He said, in this present era, ceteris is no longer paribus, okay? And que sera is no longer sera. Things are changing. It is no longer if all things remains equal, because things are no longer equal. This is the reality of service market. If you must prevail as a consultant, then you must consider these dimensions of shift in service market. You must consider these dimensions of shift in consumer behavior, and you must consider these dimensions of product shift also. Okay, you must consider all of these dimensions to be taken into place. And then we must begin to now align strategy with realities. We must begin to align strategies with realities. Of course, by now, I'm sure we should know that as a thriving organization, what determines how thriving will get is the quality of our strategy. I'm sure by now we know, so I don't need to preach on that, right? The quality of our strategy determines the reality of our sustainability. Okay, that's just wonderful to say, all right? And that's why we had to take that time in January to talk about strategic planning. Some people still don't understand what the whole concept is all about. But as a consultant, strategy formulation, or perhaps strategy, number one, strategy identification, then strategy formulation, strategy implementation, strategy analysis. All of these things are key to understanding service market, understanding the shift in consumer behaviors, and understanding the shift in the product market. So where do you go back to? Go back to the table of innovation. Go back to the table of creativity. Go back to the table of meditation. Go back to the table of research. Go back to the table of focus group. Go back to the table of facilitated workshops. Go back to the table of inquiries and begin to ask questions strategically. Those questions will help us in understanding service market. Like I said, 5G has come to stay. Do you remember there was a time that some people actually in Nigeria sued the CEO of Twitter because he tweeted or something that had to concern with Nigeria? Okay, that was wonderful. All right, you remember the time that, okay, even in Nigeria, it has been all going, passing a bill to stop social media. It moved from stopping social media completely to now stopping the kind of information that flows on social media. There is one thing we change. You can only resist it for a while. Now, very plainly, let me put it this way. There is a category of people that will always resist change. There is a time for them to die. As soon as they die, they change the resistance. The people that wanted this change will come to place. So what has been the reality now? I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. There is always a category of people that resist change. And if you check them, they're almost in the same age group, the same demographic. And there is a time for them to be wiped off, not as a cause, but as natural demand, nature demands. So natural designs make it such a way that those that resist change, at the point they will go. Even if they stay, like someone said, I think Mr. Jesse said, one of the aspects is the evolution of millennials. A time will come when millennials will take over leadership and they will begin to introduce those changes. No matter your age, it doesn't concern them. You have to be aligned to those changes, whether you like it or yes. All right, you just have to align to those changes. So we also, in consulting, our assignment is most delicate, most challenging. In fact, if let me make a little digression. For those of us that have religious backgrounds, maybe we talk about prophets and all of those kind of things. So one of the major characteristics of prophets is that they are able to see things before they happen, right? Those are the one of the major characteristics of prophet. If I will say, if we should borrow the word prophet in business, consultants are the prophets in business. Okay, so they get to identify what will happen before they happen and begin to build up, begin to formulate strategies. And that's why no matter what you do in consulting, if you are not good with strategy identification, strategy formulation, strategy development, and strategy analysis, and post-review, post-strategy, somebody mentioned performance KPIs today. Those KPIs are not just developed because we just want to raise index. No, those key performance index are raised based on post-execution review of our strategies. What are these execution reviews on? The execution review will be based on how has the market changed? How has the consumers changed? How has the product changed? How has adoption changed? And so we look at those things and then we begin to convey new realities. If you're a consultant here and you've not paid attention to digitization, maybe it's time you start inculcating digitization as part of the advisory you provide to your businesses. All right? Those are very, very important. Check out the innovations that will not be resisted. Check out the innovations that, no matter the resistance, they will always prevail. And begin to build strategic alignment to those things. You know, what makes us relevant as consultants is because we're able to develop value and begin to convince people that don't understand that that value even exists, begin to convince them to see the value and begin to buy into the value, and the value begins to produce for them. That's what makes us exceptional. I don't know whether you get it. Okay, let me give you an example. This might not really be like the most relevant example, but let me give you an example. Most businesses are formed and then sold. Most entrepreneurs, their work is, they call them serial entrepreneurs. Their own is form businesses and sell them. What most of those people do is that they find out about trends. Some of them go and do researches, 50 years trends analysis, 20 years trend analysis, 30 years trend analysis. And they begin to wonder and begin to bring out, after every 50 years, this kind of business will surface. It will go for about a while and disappear, okay? Then after another 50 years, it will come up. They can begin to build models around those businesses and begin to sell those businesses to the people in the industry where these things are applicable. I'll give an example. It is not a bank that designed ATM. I don't know what I get that. It is not a bank that is, there is no unit in a bank that their work is to design ATM and design mobile apps and design softwares. There is no session in a bank that does that. But there are crazy consultants who might not even be technologically inclined, but they've been able to see the level of changes, and they begin to align themselves with some kind of partners and begin to build those products and begin to sell it to people that will effect those changes. These changes or these adoptions, as soon as they come into the marketplace, they begin to change the way customers behave. They begin to change the way the service market behaves, not just the service market, the whole market entirely. They begin to change the ways perceptions are now conveying to become realities. So you need to, all of us need to constantly sit down and ask ourselves the question, where is the market going next? Because until we understand that, we just remain petty kind of consultants. You just do one or two things, they pay you 50,000 naira and you go. You become like, oh, there's somebody I know that does that. How much? 10,000 naira. How much? $5. It doesn't make sense. If you really want to become a consultant, then go back to the table. of innovation. Sit down and begin to see things. I don't know whether you get me, but I need you to get me, because this is the reality of strategic consulting. This is the reality of management consulting. This is the reality of the changes that we must pay attention to. All right? Okay. Do I have to say something about what I've just said now? Or what I've said is okay? So I've mentioned going back to the table of innovation. If you have never challenged yourself, you just have to start challenging yourself. If you're a management consultant, start challenging yourself. If you're a training consultant, there are courses that nobody has heard of that you need to, but in current reality, customer behaviors are beginning to move towards the adoption of such trainings. Why don't you sit down and start developing models on that? If you notice, consulting wasn't really a very big idea in Africa, as it were. But just that COVID-19 came, everybody will move into consulting, whether you like it or yes. A great number of people will move into consulting. What has that got to do now with training companies? Training companies will be forced to go and do what? Develop consulting models and begin to train on consulting, because that's where the reality is going to. Now, for those of us that saw it ahead of time and began and have already developed models and have already built partnerships and strategic alignment for that, what does that do for us? It makes it easier. So when you go to the internet now and search for online consulting training courses, it's easy to locate IPM, because why? It has been built over time. It was not built yesterday. It has been built over time. The behavior has been seen over time. In fact, when COVID-19 came, it was a very good opportunity for us. All right, it was a very big reality for us, because most of the systems that were built to accommodate certain changes in the market, they were given the privilege to exhibit themselves and produce results. So if you are a HR company, you're beginning to see that HR services are changing. HR services are changing. How many of you have seen, I'm talking about those of us now in the HR consulting industry, how many of you are actually still conduct physical HR interviews? How many of you does that? How many of you still do HR aptitude tests? You go and rent a very big hall and then you're doing. Have you noticed that the competency framework of HR, why it still remains the same? The tools for assessing those framework, they've changed. So if you're doing recruitment today, you hear things like practiceaptitude.com. You hear things like high view or higher view, whichever one they call it. You hear things like pragmatics. So many things. What happened? Some people sat down. Some people that might never even have had any knowledge of HR, but they sat down and said, these people that are wasting their money, wasting their time doing this, why don't they build an app that will do this? And all of a sudden, they begin to align with people who have capacities to do so. And by the time you know it, what do? They build these apps, sell it to people that have it, and move on with another thing. What are you really thinking about? So I want to actually call your mind back to this. If you're here because it's a certificate, I'm sorry, this might be the wrongest place to be if the grammar is good. If there is something like wrongest, okay, so this could be the wrongest place to be. But if you're here to unveil your mind and begin to see realities as they are, then I think this is the best place to be. So we've gone through this, understanding the fact that there are certain changes in the service market, and to deal with these changes, to become drivers of this change, we must go to the innovation table, we must go to the strategy table, we must go to analysis table, research table, and make sure that we'll find facts and figures that will help us. All right, that's very, very important. Very, very, very important. All right. I trust what I'm saying makes sense in a way. All right. I trust what I'm saying makes sense in a way. Okay. So if what I'm saying makes sense in a way, all right, can you please type 1 in the chat room? Let me be sure that I'm not talking to myself. All right. If what I'm saying makes sense to you as a consultant, it makes sense to you. Please, can you type 1 in the chat room? It makes some sense. Type 1 in the chat room. Okay. Okay. So since it makes sense, I think the important thing for us to do now is to bring it to our sense and then work with it. All right. Whenever I see business struggling, especially in this era that we are, I feel so like what's really happening. Because in this era we are, businesses are not supposed to struggle. Everything you need to succeed as a business person, everything you need to succeed as a consultant is already available. So why still struggle? When I still see people talk about they've not paid their salary and there is no other source of income, it troubles me because, as it were, in this era we are, you could have 100 streams of income. If this one is not paid, this one is paid. Where do you generate those things? You generate them by understanding change, understanding discrepancies that are occurring in the service market. You understand those things by discrepancies that are occurring in consumer behavior, client behavior. You understand those discrepancies by things that happen in products. All right. So these things are very, very important. Okay. These things are very, very important. All right. Okay. So let me ask, should I still go on continue with the slides, or this slide is 191 pages? Okay. So should I go on with the slides, or we can stop here and go for break? If I should go for slides, please type 00. If I should just move on, we can go for break and then start looking at the breakout sessions. Slides, if I should flip through the slides, just type 11. If I should if we should go to break and then return for breakout session. Okay, so it's like the 00 have it. I've only had 111. Okay, the slides, actually, we can get the slides. Okay, all the materials, we can get through all the materials. No matter how long we even flip, we might still not be able to finish the slides. So I will quickly brief through them, flip through them. But my greatest encouragement is that you get the slides and then use them. Get all the study materials and then use them. All right, so since the one have it, let's quickly flip through. All right, so I may just, these are the things we are supposed to consider. Defining service, which we've done. Differentiating between goods and services, which we've done partially. Explaining what is meant by service marketing, which we've also somehow looked into. Then look at how service marketing or marketing of services is different. Then explaining the characteristics of services, and then explain the types of services. And then we look at how to differentiate software products and services. And then explain the 7 P's of service marketing, explaining the factors to set price for a service, and then explain what is meant by service encounter, list the benefit of maintaining service quality, describing the importance of value addition in service industry, then explaining how to keep competitive edge in service industry, and explaining the challenges of service marketing. All of these things have actually been summarized in all of the things that have been said, but since there is need to flip through, please permit me to flip through. Please ensure to get through all of this when you get this manual. All of the particular areas we can get services. We have spa, we have car repairing, refrigerator, restaurant. All of these things, part of the areas we could provide services to. Air hostess, lipstick, mobile devices, ATM machines, television, so many things, and all of that. So this is just a few, not that as to is everything. Okay. Okay, now, although both products and services are used by consumers or customers, there is a very clear distinction between the two. The primary upfront difference between the two is that products are tangible, whereas services are intangible, of course. Everybody knows that. However, there are many finer nuances that distinguish a product from a service. So let's look at them, and these areas are where our interest lies. Okay, so I've mentioned about innovations, strategy, all of that. So just like the product and services are different from each other, similarly, a product company is very different from a service providing company. The strategies, the policies, and the focus that drive the service industry is very different from that of product manufacturing companies. Okay, I think somebody mentioned here today that he worked in the telecom industry and was able to say that telecom industry, the service there is different from when you actually have something like banana. All right, so the strategy we use in selling banana will obviously be different from the strategy you use in selling what do you call it, telecoms. Okay, so every day some of us get text messages like free 300 minute free roaming, things like you recharge 2,000 naira, you get 4.5 gig plus 4,000 naira free airtime and all of that. You cannot do that with sales of banana. I say you buy banana 2,000, we give you 4,000 naira worth of banana. How will you do that? How will you make money? How will you make profit? Well, a service company can do that because the cost of service production is far lesser than the cost of product production, right? So those things need to be put into consideration while looking at all of these discrepancies, all right? So looking at these basics, let's look at what services. According to the American Marketing Association, the 5 service activities, benefits, and satisfactions which are offered for sale or are provided in connection with the sale of goods. So obviously, services are rendered to help in promoting certain goods. So if you're consulting for a particular company, you're consulting for them so they'll be able to promote their goods, all right? No matter who they are, you're serving a company to help them promote their goods. So you're providing advisory, you're providing expertise, you're providing them with decision making and problem solving for them to be able to penetrate the market better and maximize profits while reducing costs, and also be able to manage their HR team very well. All right. So all of the activities, benefits, and satisfaction which are offered for sale, they are offered for sale. All right, or are provided in connection with the sale of goods. All right. Service are inherently tangible and all of that. Okay, so I may have to flip through this. We've repeated this over and over again. So what are the basic differences between services and goods? So for goods, they are physical commodities. They are tangible, they are homogeneous. The production and distribution are separate from their consumption, all right? Can be stored, transfer of ownership is possible. Now for services, service is a process or activity. So it's not something you can hold. So they are intangible. They are heterogeneous. The production, distribution, and consumption are simultaneous processes. So you can be generating services at the same time, having utility on the service at the same time. All right. So cannot be stored, and can transfer of ownership is not possible. All right. Before you could transfer ownership, you have to refute that service that you are providing. And that's why in some consulting firm, there is always need to sign non-disclosure agreement. Non-disclosure agreement. So what is meant by service marketing? Okay, so what is service marketing? Service marketing refers to marketing of services as against tangible products. Marketing of services as against tangible products. So when you're marketing your training, when you're marketing your HR services, when you're marketing your consulting services, when you're marketing your general service programs, that is service marketing. All right, that is service marketing. And I think one of the aspects of this class is business to business marketing. That will be anchored by one of our finest in that area. So you also, as part of service marketing, we have business to business marketing. We have business networking. So he will take the time to explain all of those things and how they work. Consulting is much more profitable. Listen to me. Consulting is much more profitable if you can market business to business and if you can do networking. That is where consulting is most profitable. And when I say networking, I don't mean what they call it, multi-level marketing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about bring 2 people, then you bring another 2 people. That's not what I'm talking about. Networking is the foundation of effective consulting outfit. How do companies network? How do consulting companies network? They attend conferences, they attend seminars, they attend workshops like what we're having here. They attend several outdoor events. They organize networking events also. Maybe they organize for CEOs, they organize for the target market they are looking for. Most often they do it for free. Very good lunch, very good place, all right? And they call you. But by the time you come, they use that opportunity to express and identify to you some of the gaps in your business that you need to fill. And you begin to ask them, how can we fill it? And that's where the selling of marketing, service marketing comes to place. All right. So networking here is not about bring 2 more people. That's what we're talking about. In this class, we are by the time we go to breakup sessions, obviously one of the essence of breakup sessions is to also network. So you could meet more people. You will also understand their competencies. By tomorrow or next or any other time of your life, you begin to have consultancies in that area of that person's competence. What do? You can easily network with the person and say, okay, please, I have this part of consideration, which I know is your concern or your area of competence. Why don't you join me? And business get to be very fruitful on the platform of what? Of networking. So that training on business networking and business to business marketing, please don't ever miss it. In fact, all the courses on marketing, I think we have 3 courses on marketing here, if not 4. We have business process outsourcing, we have business to business marketing, business networking, and then we have effective marketing. All right. Don't ever miss anyone. Those areas are key for you to know how to step out as a consultant and make useful gains. Very useful gains. All right. Some people just answer consultants. There is no proof, nothing. That is annoying. All right. Marketing of services is a relatively new phenomenon in domain of marketing, having gained importance as a discipline only towards the end of the 20th century. Okay, so we'll take all this theory later. Okay, so there is growing significance of the increasing service sector now dominated by the economies of the new millennium. Somebody has rightly mentioned about that today, the evolution of the new millennium. Okay, and those millennial leaders and all of that. Okay, so the way they think is not the way we think. I don't know how many of us know the Techidia Institute. All right, I've been following that prof. I've been following him on LinkedIn. We don't have any personal connection anyway, but I love the work they are doing on in Techidia Institute. What are they doing in Techidia Institute? They try to unveil trends. Okay, they try to unveil trends. And most of their program is mini MBA program, right? Mini MBA program. So they get CEOs and expose them to trends so that they begin to think strategically and begin to build the necessary tools and capacities. Some of these new millennial CEOs are in their 20s. Take, for instance, the CEO of Paystack. Take, for instance, the CEO of Flutterwave. Take, for instance, the CEO of Jumia. Take, for instance, the CEO of Konga. These guys are new millennial CEOs. And they don't want to do, in fact, their business models are not incoherent with our present day business models or the things we've been taught in school. One of our faculty members here said they should go and overhaul the things they taught us in economics because that knowledge has changed over the years, but we have not changed it. We are still teaching the same thing in economics. We are still teaching ceteris paribus, is no longer the same. We need to go back. And some of us that are beginning to understand these trends, when we understand them, we need to take them to the business sector and let them understand that ceteris is no longer paribus and is no longer sera. They just need to understand that. Okay, very, very important. So these new dimensions need to be, there need to be a new dimension of education to power the new generation CEOs, the new generation companies for them to function. And that's where your work and my work as a chartered management consultant comes to play. And can I abuse your mind for a moment? Stop all this certification. Is it what they call it now? Is it recognized or not recognized? You have a responsibility. Your responsibility is to go and build on innovations, not to carry certificates around. As I'm talking now, I'm giving you the impression not to even pay for the certificate. So certification is not your foundation. Your foundation is go back to that innovation. Look at trends. Be the solution provider first before certification will count. Your certification, no matter what you think, can only add profile. It will only build your profile. It can never be the value. Your certification can never be the value. Your certification can never solve any problem. Your certification is only adding to your profile for you to gain easy access to organizations. That's what your certification is doing. I hope you understand me, and I hope you're not angry with me. So that's very, very important. So all this question of is certification recognized? The question is, what competencies do you have before your certification is recognized? Even if your certification, assumedly, like there is difference between recognized and not recognized, okay? So assumedly, your certification is recognized and there is no value, corresponding value to it. What's the benefit of recognition? You will be a very good cheat. In fact, most people that are called professionals, they are just very good cheats. Why do I mean very good cheats? They just want certifications that can increase their salary, that will increase their profile. But in reality, there is no commensurate value to those certifications. Those are their cheats, very good cheats. And if you don't pay them, they will tell you, do you know what I have? I am this, I am that, I am this. The next month, I will be getting this. This year, I'll be getting that. We are not eating certification. You cannot put your certification in plate and add stew to it and start dividing it with your fork and spoon and start eating. There's nobody that does that. Nobody, you cannot come and say, oh, my work here today is that I want to come and sell my certification to you as a consultant. They will pursue you in that place. They will just put you in that room and throw you away from there. Okay? They will call security and tell you, please, this man, there's something wrong with him. Companies are looking for solutions, not types of certificates. All right? So if we must be open to ourselves as why certifications are necessary for us in service marketing, it is only to build our profile. But the main service delivery, certificate does not offer service delivery. It is you that has the competency that will deliver the service. True or false? Let me have your perspective in this case. True or false? If true, type true. If false, type false. If it is your certificate that will deliver the value, type true. If it is your competency that will deliver the value, let me know which one. So which one will deliver value? Is it certificate or is it competence? While we are doing that, let's move on. I'm skipping some things here. Okay, a study suggests that 95% of customers stop using company service because somebody from the company staff was rude to them, all right? So one of the benefits of social media marketing is that nobody's going to be rude to you, or digital marketing generally. Marketing yourself, nobody's going to be rude to you. So you get what you see, follow up, and then at the end of the day, some companies are now using chatbots. So you may personally not going to have any personal encounter with the person. And some of these services already have been automated, that from beginning to the end, you may have no human relations involved. So there is no need for being rude or whatever. So instead of losing 95% of customers, so things like engagement, why not automate? Why not digitalize? Why not innovate? All right, there's nothing wrong with innovation. All right. Okay, so how is service marketing different? Given the intangibility of services, marketing them becomes a particularly challenging and yet extremely important task to do due to the following. So why is it so? A key differentiator, we're going to look at the key differentiator, then we'll look at the importance of relationships. That, I spoke about networking, business networking, and I spoke about business to business marketing. Should I say this again? If you want to increase your revenue or your earning capacity as a consultant, change your customer base. Change your customer base. Move from individual consulting to corporate consulting. In fact, consulting should be much more a corporate thing rather than individual thing. Instead of running after individuals one after the other, run after a company that can give you as many individuals as possible and will not have issue about your pricing. And you will not have issue about getting them another time. And you will not have issue about recommendations and referrals. That's why relationships are very important in service marketing. If you want me to keep talking about service marketing today, I think I will keep mentioning business to business marketing and business networking. That's more of what I will keep focusing on today. All right. And then you have customer retention. How do you go about customer retention? For the key differentiator, due to the increasing homogeneity in product offerings, the attendant services provided are emerging as a key differentiator in the mind of customers. So no matter what you do, whether you're a product person or a service person, those little things you add are beginning to make sense to your customers. Take, for instance, you add a live chat bot to your website, and customers can easily chat you and get their issues resolved just by chatting you on your website. That gives a different perspective. Some time ago, I bought a particular service. Why? Because someone told me I was having issue with a particular company offering the same service. Now, someone told me, said, this particular company, just chat them up on their website. They will attend to you immediately, and you will have your issue resolved. And I tried it. Immediately, I swapped company. And since I swapped, it's over 5 years now. I've never gone back to the other company. What has made the difference? The differentiator is just the addition. What brought me? Is it that they were able to answer my question on time? No. Was it because I was able to chat them on their website? No. Is it what I'm paying for? No. What I'm actually paying for is the service they are rendering. But there had been an add-on. There had been an add-on. There is someone in this class that you wouldn't have attended this class if it were to be a physical class. But this add-on has made it a little much more convenient for you from your comfort. From you do the same trading the way it would have still been on the physical platform, and you still get the same certificate somebody would have got it. No additional cost of transporting yourself to venue, no risk of accident, no risk of now IPM has completely removed the risk of pay before service. No, you come take your training. If you want to pay, you pay. So there is no risk of any financial inclusion. So the decision to take financial inclusion is your choice. Our own is to provide you with the best platform to learn. Your own is to decide on whether your learn is good for you or not, and decide whether you want to go to use it or not. So this service differentiator is making very key differences in the market. All right. Then we have the importance of relationship. I've mentioned that quite a lot. And then customer retention. Customer retention comes more based on the relationship you built, all right? And based on the strategies you also put out, all right? So we will look at client relationship, and under it, we'll look at retention, and then we'll look at more of that. But importantly, it is easier to retain people in product market than service market, all right? It's easier to retain people in product market. So the assignment of customer retention in the service market is really a very big work, right? Very big task on this one. All right, so let's look at the characteristics of services. All right, I'm going to skip that because we've somehow gone through that, so that I can go to the next one. Please, when you get this manuals, feel free to go through all of these case studies and then be sure to understand them. Okay, quickly, let's look at types of service. We could have core services and we have supplementary services. Okay, services could be core and supplementary. So the core services are the actual value you're rendering. The supplementary services are just add-ons, 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 add-ons. In IPM, our core services are trainings and certifications. Any other thing we do is an add-on. We consult for our members. Recently, we created a free advert platform where they can come and advertise their product. But whether we remove the advert or not, that's not the core product, but that's an add-on. What are we doing? We want to also help them promote what they are doing. That's an add-on, right? Now, in IIPM, we can actually finish the training and give you a certificate, right? Which is also legally recognized anywhere. But to provide an add-on, okay, we are not a regulatory agency. We are not a chartered body. Why don't we get a chartered organization who will agree with us and then provide the charter so that our client will have the highest level of qualification in this field? And that's what we've done. Now, whether you get certified by or get chartered by CIMC or not, that is just an add-on. Is it going to be a value to someone? Of course, it's going to be a value to someone. There is, for people that really understand what it means to be chartered, they will always tell you the certification doesn't really count. What they want is that chartered, because chartered is what really gives you the privilege to exhibit your competencies and get the adequate reward for it. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. So you have to differentiate between your core services and your supplementary services. Apart from the trainings that we do on core management competencies and leadership programs and entrepreneurship and business programs, we also provide trainings on financial advisory, financial management, and all of that. And you don't pay anything. There is no certificate to that, just free trainings. Will that be an add-on? Let me shock you. Last year, I think it was in August, yes, we did a free financial management program, and we brought up several opportunities, and someone invested about 250,000. Was it 250 or 225? All right, but that was about $500. He invested in it. We are not the one managing. We only exposed the opportunity, and the person decided to go into it. Now, that was about $500, 250,000 then. Now, by December, the person has made more than twice of that amount. He came in August, learned about the whole thing, started investing in October. By December, he has doubled that money. Okay. And he's still dealing with the same thing he has learned. All right. So is that our core services? No. Are we charging him to learn about that? No. But we believe that, okay, we should expose our clients to trends. And, you know, we human beings will love anything that will bring in money. All right. So we take time to teach people on those areas. All right. And if you actually pay attention to more of our training encourages you to diversify and create other streams of income rather than having a unified stream of income where if it gets stranded, your life gets stranded, right? So is that our core service? No. But is that supplementary? Yes. Will you get certificate because you attended a workshop on money management? No. Some of us, some of our faculty members here talk about relationships, so marriage and all of that. I think the next speaker that will be talking on emotional intelligence, that's her area of competence, all right? Marriage, relationships, courtship, and all of that. Will she charge you money to tell you about how to manage your relationship? No. Is that part of the program of IPM? No. But could that save somebody's life? Yes. So you could find out the supplementary services that most often, listen, this will shock you. Most often, it is the supplementary services that retain the client, not the core services. I'll repeat this again. Most often, it is the supplementary services that retain the client, not the core services, because core services is where the bulk of competition is. Core services, that's where the competition is. Supplementary services have little or no competition because those supplementary services are out of ingenuity. I hope somebody's following me. All right, I hope somebody's following me. I'm trying to be as fast as I can right now. Okay. Let's quickly go on. Okay, let's quickly look at the importance of service marketing. All right, I've actually said so much about service marketing, so I trust by now we know the importance of service marketing. One, without marketing your service, obviously you won't sell. But above all of those sales and all of that, one of the things that service marketing does is that it creates a unique brand for you in your industry. So it's a very easy way to create a brand leadership. It's a very easy way to create brands that stand out. All right. Then another thing is that it confers reputation to your organization, especially when you are marketing your service and you have good online reviews or good recommendations. Wow, you are on your way to go. All right. Quite a number of people here came because some people referred them, nominated them, or sent them. Why were they able to come? Because the person that came or that referred them believed that, okay, this is the right place to be. Why did you refer them? Because there was a time you got to see the service marketed, and then you took the opportunity, got into it, and now you are referring other people to it. All right, so service marketing gives you a very easy way to sell your reputation and create good brand leadership. And then another way, or another important thing of service marketing is that service marketing, it has a way of making your organization have good positioning, stand out among the competition. All right. So when you're doing service marketing, there is a slogan, there is a motto, there is vision, and all of those things. There are freebies, those attraction, and all of those things. So when those things come in, they begin to pay off for you. All right. Okay, I think we've taken quite a number of time. Can we take just 1 minute stretch and then we'll be back? Just 1 minute, and then we'll be back. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. I trust we enjoyed that 1 minute break. We can proceed now. I'm trying to see how I could get done with this. Okay. What could be the difference between software products and services? You know, softwares are products on themselves, but we use services to market softwares, right? So when you buy or when you download, what do you call it now? Maybe Microsoft Word or Excel or CorelDRAW or Zoom, as it were. It is actually a product. Somebody could say, but it is not handleable. Yes, it could not be handleable because it is software. But as it were, it gives you a physical dimension to operate what you want to operate. So it will always most often culminate to tangible product. So let's assume you type of Microsoft Word, you will definitely get your documented work. You get it on paper format. If at the end of the day we want to transform this whole lecture to videos, we can still burn them into CDs and still sell them, right? So at the end of the day, service products only have a marketing software product. I guess that is understood. All right. So quickly, let's go through the P's of service marketing. Quickly. The first 4 elements in the service marketing mix are same as those in the traditional marketing mix. But you know, we've been talking about this 4 marketing mix, or the 4 P's of marketing mix. But now we have 7, and there is a course we take here on international customer relationship management. Now, if you're taking that course, the P's of marketing is actually 8. So there have been some domains that have been added to service marketing. So quickly, let's look at each of them. And another thing is, some of us, when we hear of these 4 P's of marketing, 7 P's of service marketing, we don't really get to understand them. They just end up as stories, end up as just jottings and all of that. No, those things need to be transformed to practical reality. So when we say price, promotion, place, and all of those things were mentioned, product, you must understand practically how those things work. And obviously we know one of the cheapest ways of analysis, consulting analysis, is the 4 P's of marketing or the 7 P's of marketing. So for you to even use the 4 P's of marketing to start analyzing consulting experiences or consulting events, you must have understood in real terms what those P's mean, all right? And how to apply them, all right? How to play around with them, all right? This is very, very important, right? Very, very important. So the first P we have there is the P of product, okay? The P of product. In case of services, the product is intangible. So when we say product in this case, product here becomes a generic name, right? It could refer to a service or it could refer to a tangible good, all right? So in service marketing, as it refers to services, the term product here is generic, as to say service can also be called product in this light, all right? All right, so in the case of services, the product is intangible, heterogeneous, and perishable. Moreover, its production and consumption are inseparable, all right? Hence, there is a scope for customizing the offering as per customer requirement, and the actual customer encounter, therefore, assumes particular significance. Now, let's make it simple. If you must sell a service, then there must be a service to sell. That's where we are going to. If you must sell, apart from the customization and everything and all the offerings bounding around the service you want to sell, but there must be a service. You cannot just wake up and go to a company and say, I am a chartered management consultant. They will tell you, welcome. The next thing is, how can we help you? That how can we help you is the service that you must render. There must be a product packaged to sell, right? So there must be product to sell. Whether you're running online consulting or physical consulting or a blend of both, you must have defined product or defined service to meet defined needs of companies. Let me give you an example. HireView, that does recruitment for companies through aptitude tests and the likes. Now, they have a defined, their service is recruitment, right? But they have a defined product that they are selling. And that defined product is recruitment through digital space, right? So you cannot just come to a company and say, I'm a chartered management consultant and I recruit. And the question is, how do you recruit? Where do you recruit? What do you recruit for? What capacity do you recruit for? How? So if you don't answer those questions, you don't have any service, right? Customizing of those services will be best fit on your understanding of your customers and your industry trends, right? That's very, very important. And then pricing. One of the major issues of marketing, service marketing, is pricing. People don't consider services as needs, all right? So if your service is not considered as a need by a company or an individual, even if you price it $0, they will still not buy. So the most important thing first is to make sure that your service, when presented, exposes a client to a need either he is aware of or he is unaware of. Your product or service, in fact, write it down wherever you are, write it down so that you don't go do something else. You see this place we call product, there must be value enough. That value must have the capacity to present itself as a need to a client. When the client sees the need, you don't need to tell him to pay, he will pay. But if the client does not see what you're presenting as a need, even if you tell him it's free, he will not come. So the first aspect of service marketing, 7 P's, as regards to the product itself, is a unique selling proposition, strong value propositions. Don't say I did not tell you. I'm telling you the honest truth now. Don't say I did not tell you, because what we're dealing with here is practical scenarios. Don't say I did not tell you. Don't just wake up and start renting office and say you are now doing financial accounting services. And the question is, what is unique about you? What gave you the impression that people actually consider financial accounting by you, from your company as a need? What makes them feel that you are supposed to be the one to take it or to handle their issues? You need to fix those things before you step out. If not, you will use all your money you save to do market testing. Have you heard of market testing before? You use your money to do market testing. And that's why some people at the end of the day, they say this consulting thing, it does not work. Why will it work when you've not done due diligence? Okay. So product must be well developed, well seasoned value propositions. You know, have you gone to where they do pepper soup before? You know, there are pepper soup that when you taste them, they'll be very bitter. So even if they ask you to pay, you just tell them the one I've paid for, just go with it. But there are places, my. There is one woman in Abuja that I always go to eat in her place. I think our food is not very expensive. Our food is about 1,200 or 1,500 with water. Now, do you know why I go there? One of the reasons I go there is the volume of meat. It's like the woman is selling meat, well prepared meat. So whenever I go there, either by myself or with people, my own concern is meat. The soup is always delicious. I'm not a fan of all this rice and this, but the soup is very delicious. Now, what takes me there is the product, the value I'm getting from the product. Not because somebody from CBN is coming to eat alongside with me, or somebody from Presidency is coming to eat alongside. No. And you know the most amazing thing? If you go to that place, the place is behind this Niger Insurance, directly behind library, National Library. If you eat that woman's food, I'm advertising for her now. If you eat that woman's food, you go back there again. I don't know about her rice, I don't know about her pastries. I'm talking about her swallow. So I go there because of meat and fish, very seasoned, and it's cheap. So question, what will be your attraction? That is the most important thing you consider in developing your service as a product. Then when you have gotten that, literally you find that price will no longer be a problem. price will no longer be a problem. Okay, price will no longer be a problem. Something happened recently. I went to this particular place to eat, and I went with 2 extra persons, right? So I went with the person that introduced me to the place, who happens to be the registrar of this institute. Okay, so I went there with him and with the admin staff. So after I finished eating, I asked the registrar asked how much, and he told him the price. So I paid, and he asked the lady. He said, "How much is 1 plate of meal?" And the lady said, "He said, but we are paying in excess. We only ate 3 plates. We did not eat 5 plates." And the lady was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I did not know. I thought it was 5 plates." Now, even with paying for 5 plates, I was still comfortable. I considered it as it's still cheap because that 5 plates is if you're going to Nikon Luxury, you know that is very, very cheap. Okay. 1.5 into 5 places is still cheap compared to a cup of tea in Nikon Luxury or Sheraton. And I just love the value. So price will not be a challenge if your value proposition is right. Did you get what I just said now? If you're struggling to sell a product based on price, that means there is something wrong with the value proposition. Now, we still talk about pricing and all of that in subsequent classes, but look at this. There are different approaches to selling and to also arranging your pricing so that you don't have to have that objection, sales objection, when you go to sell. So we will deal with all of that in part of marketing and part of strategic pricing, all right? So we'll deal with that. So importantly, we need to pay attention to pricing. But before pricing will surface, product must come to place. The right product must come to place. Then the next thing is place, all right? Place. Something happened yesterday in the evening. Somebody called me and took me to a particular facility and showed me the facility. The facility was very wonderful, big facility. And said the place would be good for our office. I'm like, yes, this place will be very good. But the location is not good for our office. Number 1, the noise in this environment is terrible. So we can't even train here. Number 2, the people in this environment are not the kind of people we train. So even if we rent this facility for less than $500, we might still not be able to generate the money from this environment, right? Then thirdly, the environment, the facility is good, but you have other occupants in the facility that are not in the line of what we're doing. And you cannot chase them out because we are going to occupy upstairs and they are downstairs. You cannot. Some of our clients will come there, when they see the environment, they'll be discouraged. So we cannot take up this facility just on these reasons. So when you consider place, it is a very delicate aspect of consulting. And that's why if you're going to start your consulting on a digital space, first, you create a more convenient place that people will not have much bias than physical environment. As much as we are going today, most consulting firms are doing their best to reduce cost of operations, cost of renting halls, cost of renting facilities and all of that. They are trying their best to go completely digital because services are intangible. What? Okay, if you're coming to my office, what are you coming to do? You're coming to see me, you're coming to discuss it. We can discuss it via email, we can discuss it via phone, we can discuss it via visual platforms as Dix. So why do you really need to come? So everything can actually be digitized from A to Z. You've reduced cost and you have been most positioned in the best place. Now, why are you positioned in the best place? That's for those going digital. Now, anybody around the world can access you. That's very, 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 very wonderful. Anybody around the world can access you. You get more prominence, more reputation by being digital. Is it going to be free? No, it's going to cost you something. But no matter what it will cost, it won't cost you as how much you will pay renting an office space in a place like Abuja or Lagos or Port Harcourt. It won't cost you as much as that. Take, for instance, you build a website, maybe probably around 50, 70, or 100,000, depending on what you're building and the capacity of what you're building. Now, you've built everything. And then while the person was doing the website for you, he built your digital channels, your social media channels. So at the end of the day, you could have spent up like 250,000 to set up a company that for life, you don't need to renew your rent. For life, you don't need to have a personal issue with agents or landlords. For life, you don't need to bother about telling somebody when you reach this place, turn to this way, then number this or number that. That is my office. You don't need those things. I've asked several questions. Facebook started as a joke. Where is their office in Nigeria? So many of us don't know. How many of us have actually gone to Facebook office in Nigeria or Ghana or Liberia or South Africa, and you tell them, my account was blocked. Somebody hacked my account. I want the people to change it. How many of us have done that? Do you know what is happening right now? Very, very soon. Very, very soon. Telecommunication is going to be running like Facebook, Amazon, run like Google. Because why would they have to run such big facilities when they can actually have their product delivered from wherever they are produced to you without them having to see you for whatever? Why do they need to have multiple agents in the name of intermediaries? Things are changing. So if you really want to get your space, better find what is changing and find out how they are changing, why they are changing, and begin to build capacity so that you can become the solution to those changes. I trust we are making sense here. Okay, I trust we are making sense here. Then another thing is promotion. Okay, so I can actually say I've said so much about the promotion because I've talked about the digital, I've talked about the traditional systems of marketing. Now that we're also talking about the digital marketing does not mean that we are now going to talk down on the traditional marketing. Remember, we talked about business to business marketing, which is more effective one-on-one, all right? And then we'll talk about business networking, which is more effective one-on-one. So that we're talking about digitization does not mean that we should now take 100% attention on digitalization and then forget about the traditional systems. That's not what we're saying here, right? So it's important we get to understand this, all right? So that's promotion. And then you have people. People are the defining factor in service delivery process, since a service is inseparable from the person providing it. So in the case of product, people delivering products are different from people delivering services. But in the case of service, the person delivering the service is actually the person, well, I say he's the product as well, all right? So the person delivering the service and the service sometimes get to be separable, right? So we get to be careful then who we bring in as team members, who we bring in as partners to our consulting firms, all right? Very, very important, all right? Very, very important, all right? Then the process of developing your consulting services. So the process of service delivery is crucial since it ensures that same standard of service is repeated or repeatedly delivered to the customers. So while you have people, these people are going to be replicating your company's standards, all right? So whether they deliver it in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Australia, in UK, in US, it doesn't really matter. So it's the same standards. Most of them will have our general workshop programs. It's open to everybody in the world. So the same standard that is offered to Nigeria is the same standard that is offered to UK, is the same standard that is offered to, of course, most people in this program are from different parts of the country. All right, in our last workshop, we had over 21 countries in attendance. We've not really bothered to check how many countries are in attendance for this particular training. But the last workshop on the CIMC, we had about 3 persons from US to take the course, because to them it's cheaper from this area than to take it from US. So they took it from Nigeria, and they are going to receive their certificate from US. Okay, so the same standards, nothing changes. All right, so your processes should be well defined, and then your standards should also be well defined. Then physical evidence of your product or services should also be there. Physical evidence of after the training should be a verifiable and well-recognized certification. That is physical evidence. At the end of the day, that's really what you want to see. All right. The KPIs must be well defined so that at the end of the day, we'll say, okay, this is the performance matrix. We assess the performance matrix and be sure that the service was really delivered. So while you're developing your service, you should also develop your KPIs, your key performance index, so that customers could use that to define exactly what their outcome will look like. All right. Okay. I'm actually taking time now because I have to flip through this slide. So what factors affect how to set price? You have the target segment, you have the cost of production, you have competition, you have society and law, you have variant prices, and you have discount services. All of these things affect pricing. All right, so I'm going to just flip through it because they're quite. So what do we mean by service encounter? And that's where I'll possibly think about. What do we mean by service encounter? If you must retain clients, what defines the rate of retention will be the encounter, the service encounter those clients had, either as first sight or by reading reviews about you. All right, so that's very, very important. So a service encounter is usually defined as an instance where the customer and the organization come into contact with one another in a manner that gives the customer an opportunity to either form or change an impression about the firm. All right, so if you want to create an encounter, there is what they call customer experience. So you just have to create unique customer experience, unique customer experience. You don't have to create unique customer experience, right? That is very, very important. And in client relationship, we'll still talk about all of those things, changing perceptions, and then getting to be sure that of what customers want. Now, in this whole encounter, you could choose to be proactive, or you could choose to be reactive in the service quality that you provide. You could choose to be proactive, or you could choose to be reactive. If you choose to be proactive, that means you are able to solve customers' problems even before they see their problems. So that makes retention very easy. But if you choose to be reactive, it's not good to be reactive. As a management consultant, it is not good to be reactive. Don't ever choose reactive approach, because that will create a very uncommon reputation about your company. And should you even choose to be reactive, you need to be very fast in attending to issues. Don't ever delay. You need to be very, very fast in attending to issues. All right. You need to be very, very fast in attending to issues. All right. Okay. Okay. Now, in a proactive approach to service quality, this can be done in way of service surveys and questionnaires, gap analysis, and staff training. All right. So for those of us that consistently do surveys and questionnaires, that's part of a proactive way to retain customers. Gap analysis is also a very important way of keeping customers. And then staff training. Some people feel like training staff is expensive and it does not worth it. Well, if you do it right, it is worth it. All right. If you do it right, it is worth it. Okay. Okay, how do you measure service quality? Service quality is essentially measured using key performance index and standards put in place. Okay, so let's take for instance this program. One of the ways to measure the key performance index of this program is that, okay, at the end of the day, did you learn something that is really different from all you've known, or were you able to get motivated? Do you feel excited that you really took the course? If yes, that means one KPI has been achieved. Number two, you receive your certification and possibly you're right to CIMC. It's okay. Please, I got the certificate. Or even before you pay, it's okay. CIMC, please, I took a training with IPM. I want to be sure that you people will be the ones to issue me the charter certification. If they tell you yes, that means second KPI of international certification has been verified. If they tell you no, then you can say, this will cheated also. By doing so, what have you done? You've saved yourself from incurring costs. All right? Irrespective of the fact that, okay, you might have learned something, but you've also saved cost. All right? Then another way of trying to check your KPI is, okay, after this training, were you able to build a model for your consulting firm to start with? If yes, wow, I learned something, so KPI achieved. If no, oh, they wasted my time, they wasted my resources. If I had known, I wouldn't have gone there. All right. So these are the KPIs you could, for something like our own, these are some of the KPIs you could check. All right. Then you should also find KPIs for your own service quality. Let's assume you're running a restaurant. Okay, let's ask globally now. What could be the KPIs for restaurant business? What could be the KPI? What will you see? And it will prove to you that, yes, customers are satisfied about your business. Please feel free. You can raise your hand or you put it in the chat room. If you want to start a restaurant now, what will be your major KPIs? Is somebody there? Please, for the sake of time, can we be faster enough? All right, please, Eric, Anand, please go ahead. What will be your KPI if you were to start a restaurant business?
First of all, providing satisfactory meal, so delivery, convenience for my prospective customers when they enter my facility, if it is physical restaurants.
Okay.
So quality number one is quality food and ambience.
Okay, I think I will take the second one, ambience, because we are trying to find out what will you see your customers that will make you feel like, yes, they actually have quality food. That's the metric we are looking at. What will you see in them that will make you feel like, oh, this food is actually quality? Ambience is good one, yes. You could say, and one of the ways to actually know whether you have quality ambience or not is some customers could literally come to just drink a bottle of water from your organization or from your restaurant. That could tell you, oh boy, they really like this environment, right? Okay, so Mr. Eric, what will actually be the definition of quality to the food? What will you see in them that will make you feel like, yes, they're actually enjoying this meal?
Well, retention. So if we start
Thank you. No, thank you. I'm okay. So one of the major criteria is retention. So it's not even the food. It's not even where you are selling it. It's not even the ambience, but the retention. The retention. I love that. Okay. Mutala Abdul Mumin, please feel free or mute and let's hear from you, please.
Yes. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're welcome, sir.
I'll be looking out for a pre-order and delivery service to my clients.
Thank you. That's also a very wonderful way to find out whether your KPIs are working. If customers could pre-order, or perhaps let's assume there is no digital, but they will always send people to come and buy for them, and that could also tell you that, oh, they actually like this company. All right. Could there be another one? Are there not people running restaurants here? Of course, I know some of us by now should know that one of the major areas consulting is flourishing so well is in the restaurant industry, quick service restaurant. All right, it's a wonderful place to be. Can I have some more? Can I have some more? What quality? Okay, somebody said waiting time to be served must be minimal. Okay, so when waiting time gets to be minimal, that also could be a very good metric. All right, and how could you know that waiting time is minimal? One of the ways to actually know that waiting time is minimal is when customers don't come and start saying, oh, who is there? I've been here for the past 10 minutes. Nobody came to address me. So when you receive less complaints, that could tell you that waiting time is minimal. Will somebody say something? That's another wonderful thing. Somebody saying something in the chat room. Mr. Emmanuel Kaye said the first one. Emmanuel Awade says referrals to others. That could also tell you that this is working. All right. So where are we going to? Before we start, if you go back to that thing we call product, before we start developing anything called product, we need to put all these things as part of our strategy. You see, that's where strategy must be developed before you launch. Strategy must be developed before you do what? Before you launch. All right, very, very important. Strategy must be developed before you launch. All right, very, very important. So develop your KPIs, develop your systems that will help you check. Sometimes it might not be a KPI, it might be a system, like a system where it's okay. When we have referrals, it tells us that we are performing. When we have higher retention, it tells us it might not be really a definite figure that will tell you the measure, but you could use those systems to say, okay, we actually performing. Okay. Okay. Okay, should I still go ahead talking about benefit of maintaining service quality? I think we already know those ones. One, there is reduced cost. Then two, there will be efficient processes. Three, there will be improved customer satisfaction. Three, there will be reduced service cycle times. There will be on-time delivery. And then there will be greater ease of expansion. There will be higher expectations. And then there will be positive changes to service culture, right? So these are some of the things we see as the benefits of maintaining good service culture. Now, another thing we'll talk about before we round up is service addition. Innovation is king in consulting. Innovation is king. I am much more passionate about consulting than any other thing I do. Because consulting always puts you in that platform of constant research. What are you researching? Why are you researching? To add more value. And you know what? The more value you add, the more customers that keep coming to you. And one of the easiest ways to retain customers is to keep increasing the value that you give to them. Okay, keep increasing the value. They will naturally stay. They will call others to come and stay with them. Come and see, come test and see. That will become your marketing strategy. You keep giving them, and they keep bringing others to come and test. And as they come and test, they see that, wow, this is actually awesome, and they stay. So don't ever do it the way you've been doing it. All right, you did it the same way 3 years ago. You're doing it the same way this year. You don't have any intention of changing it. No, you have to change it. Have you not wondered why companies every now and then they keep repackaging their products? Remember, what drives sales is emotions. And one of the particular emotions that actually drive man is curiosity. Just get to understand that. Even if you've been buying, let's say you use Eva soap, for instance, and you've been using this particular Eva soap, and all of a sudden, you see a new packaged Eva soap, and the person selling it tells you, this is new and is good. You have the tendency to say, okay, let me try it. Have you done something different? Yes. You've actually done the same thing to the same product. Don't be surprised, nothing changed. Just the packaging and maybe some little fragrance. But you could be buying it at a higher rate because of what? Curiosity. So if you want to keep, in fact, if your customers are not curious about your product, you'll soon go and sleep. So you must maintain that high level of curiosity. What are they going to do next? What are they? In fact, you must maintain that level of curiosity that customers will be asking you, what will you be doing next? Because they want to know what you are up to. That curiosity, don't ever throw it away. If you don't know how to engender curiosity in your customers, please go and find out. Of course, that's part of the things we'll also be discussing here. Curiosity is the primary way to keep clients. And that curiosity is engendered through innovation, through value additions. I hope somebody got that. All right, thank you so much for getting that. All right, so find out the things you can add and keep adding them. All right. Okay. Please get to read this thing on your own. Get to read these case studies on your own when you get this manual. All right, strategy challenges in service industry. The strategy challenges, I would say, number one, strategy challenge of innovation, strategy challenge of technology, strategy challenge of disruptions, strategy challenge of government regulations, strategy challenge of competitions. All right. So all of these things play a very great role. Strategy challenge of customer behavior changes and all of that. All right. So we need to understand these things and then put them to work. All right. So when you get this, feel free to go through them. And now, how to maintain competitive edge in the service industry? I think I've said it all. Just keep innovating, keep adding value, keep building curiosity. Every other thing becomes secondary. If your customers are always hungry of what you will give to them next, forget about it. They will buy literally everything you make available to them, provided what you're giving to them has value. Do you get that? Provided what you want to give them has value. Now, before we go on break and then go to the breakout sessions, I will tell you something, and this is very, very important. Don't ever joke with it. If you must be a profitable and high performance consultant, listen to me. You must pay attention. You must pay very good attention to understanding what your customer calls value, not what you yourself call value, because what you call value might not be what they call value. Now, let me give you an instance. I went for a program the other day, very good program. I paid good money for that program. And it was a management consulting program, all right? So just in my calendar is always good for me, the beginning of the year, especially January. I used to attend my classes because I know from February, I may not have time to attend any other course till maybe August, you go and attend conference. And then November, you go and attend another workshop and then get to rest for the year. Now, I started my schedule and paid very good money. And I had much expectations from that particular organization. And I got there, my expectations were dashed. And I expected to be trained. I expected to network with other people. I expected that the certification you would give me, as you said, was going to come from the people you said we are going to give them. Now, none of the expectations I ever went there for ever worked. Now, irrespective of the fact that I even defied COVID-19 and went for a physical training, should I surprise you? The food, they gave, do you know where I'm from? We don't eat those kind of food anyhow. It's okay. Okay, so they gave me moi with salad and cream. I did not eat it. I said to myself, I said, obviously, I just paid to come and do trial and error. But you know what? I will never in my life recommend anybody to that organization because there was no service delivered. But I paid huge amount of money. Now, I discovered something. Most of the people that came there just came for certificates. Now, listen to me, listen very well. The certificates they got, they didn't even bother to ask. This certificate, was it really the one that we paid for? They didn't bother to ask. They were busy snapping and all of that. I only sneaked out from the environment and left. Yesterday, I got a mail from the organization. I said, if only these people know what is in my mind, they won't be sending me mail. I'm trying to recover from the shock, not because I paid you money, but because of the shock I had from such organization that have been profiled to be a high standard organization and nothing was delivered. Okay, and people just came collect. That program was a 2 hours program, 2 hours. If I tell you how much I paid, it's more than twice of what you pay here as Philip. And I'm telling you the honest fact. In fact, that program discouraged me. I have another program that is going to be starting up by March. It's going to be almost ₦1 million. That program is going to be almost ₦1 million. But after I came out, I was like, are you sure these other people will deliver? Okay, that was my concern. But another thing that gave me this, I had to start calling the other set of people that my program will be starting with. I had to call them, please tell me exactly what I'm going to expect. I had to go online, start doing research, make sure that everything is going to be as expected. So by March, I will still go and continue. But you see, for the first one I've attended, I would never recommend anybody to that institution. But listen again. If you're going for training and capacity development, I will tell you no. But I will also tell you, if you just want certificate, you don't want training, you just go there, they call you up and say, you are now a member of this, you are now a certified this, without any training, without knowing what the whole profession is all about, then you can go there. Okay, you can go there. So what are they selling? They are selling ego. They are selling pride. They are selling a sense of self-actualization. That's what they are selling. Go back to Maslow's, that's a very important thing. Go to Maslow's hierarchy of need. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need. In developing your consulting, ask yourself the question, which of these categories do I really want to sell? Is it self-actualization? Is it self-esteem? Is it psychological needs? Is it safety needs? You have to find out which one you're selling. Anyone you're selling will tell you the kind of customers you sell to. All right. So, but in summary, if you must remain competitive, you must always keep adding something, keep innovating, and keep bringing something new to the platform. All right. So this is all about it this morning on this second section of what do you call it? Management consulting. Okay. So thank you so much. I will only take 2 questions, if any, and then we'll go and take a break and then resume. So if there is, I'll be handing over to the coordinator to, if there is any question, any remark, then we'll proceed. Please, over to you, coordinator. Okay. Okay, please over to you, sir.
All right, many thanks indeed, Dr. Banito, for an awesome session. All right, so we're going to take just 2 questions,
Okay, better.
like he said, and we'll go for a 10-minute break and come back for the next lecture. So please indicate by raising up your hand, or you can also send your question in the chat room if you don't want to talk. So just 2 questions and we'll go on a break.
Okay, so possibly we go for the break, and then when we come back, we can just review and then take questions and proceed. Would that be better?
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so we're taking a 10 minutes break, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're taking a 10 minutes break. I just observed that we've passed the time. I didn't want to go into flipping of slides, but you people encouraged me to do so. So that took our time. So we take 10 minutes and then we return back as fast as we can. Please note, the class is not being closed. It's going to remain open